Hey everyone, my name is Dave. I am the Student Budgetary Advisor here in UCC, and I'm just here to talk to you about some issues around funding for your postgraduate study, should you come to UCC for that. So here's a quick overview of everything that we'll be covering today. I'll take a quick look at fees with you, and then some of the funding options that are available, such as SUSI, some Department of Social Protection payments, Student Assistance Fund, take a quick look at loans as well, and then another quick look at scholarships that might be accessible to you as well for postgraduate study. And then finish up by showing you how you can engage with my services in the run-up to coming here to UCC or throughout your time as a student. So fees, there's just a couple of things to note about them, particularly if you're coming in from an undergraduate. Firstly, to note that the Free Fees Initiative does not apply for postgraduate study, so you would have been used to the Free Fees Initiative paying your tuition fee if you undertook your undergraduate here in Ireland. But unfortunately, it's not the case for any master's or PhD program. For students from the EU or the European Economic Area, the average annual tuition fee for a postgrad program, or a master's program, is between 4,000 and 10,000 euros. And that's generally payable in 2 installments here in UCC anyway, with the fees office asking for the first half when you register, and then the second half on January 31st of the following year. But if you would prefer to break that up, you can opt to set up a payment plan which turns it into monthly payments over the course of the academic year, so you're not faced with 2 large hefty payments in each semester. The full fee schedule is not yet available for the coming year. The fees office currently have the 2025-26 fee schedule published here. That QR code will take you to the page. So if you know what program you're interested or programs you're interested in, you can have a look there, and that will give you a good idea of what it might cost you, but just realize that it could be subject to increase between now and September. In my role as the budgetary advisor, I help students a lot with fee queries, but I found that ultimately for any kind of substantial fee query, we will need the input of the fees office at some point. So with that in mind, it's just a good idea to know how to engage with them. So you can see here, you can engage them in a number of ways. You can book an appointment, you can email them, contact them through our website, or call them. Now this information is all available online anyway, so don't worry too much about taking it all down. So now, what financial supports are available for postgraduate study? There are quite a lot of options to look at. So SUSI being the main one. So if you've done your undergraduate here in Ireland, you would probably be aware of SUSI already. Some Department of Social Protection payments are available for postgraduate study, like the disability allowance or one-parent family. Bank and credit union loans are another option to consider. Employment support from family, parents or guardians. There are plenty of scholarships available for anyone undertaking any kind of research postgraduate program. A lot of access bursaries, such as the 1916 bursary, which if you were awarded for your undergraduate, you may be able to carry it forward into your postgraduate study as well. And then other ones include the New Avenues to Teaching Fund and Traveller Dormant Account Fund as well. And then the Student Assistance Fund is also available for all postgraduate students, as well as HEI pillar funding. So there are a few important things to keep in mind for SUSI when it comes to postgraduate funding. Firstly, just in case you're not aware of SUSI, or if you weren't aware generally anyway, there are 5 key criteria for making a successful application and being eligible to SUSI. One is nationality, in that you have to be an Irish, EU, or European Economic Area citizen, or a citizen of the UK, or a Swiss national, or have specific leave to remain in the state, whether you're on a stamp 4 visa or you've established yourself as a refugee here in Ireland. Next is residency criteria. So in addition to your citizenship, you also need to have been resident inside the EU for at least 3 of the last 5 years. So if you've been resident, but say you've been living in Australia or North America or somewhere like that, since you completed your undergraduate, you might not be eligible for funding from SUSI under that criteria. So just keep that in mind with whatever plans you're making. Next is income criteria. So obviously your income needs to be under certain thresholds to be eligible for the different awards that SUSI offers. Then previous education and progression, and that just means that you must be pursuing your qualification for the first time. So if you have a previous master's or a higher qualification, you wouldn't be eligible for funding from SUSI. And then finally, approved course in an approved institution. So generally speaking, any full-time postgraduate program offered in UCC would meet that criteria. So you don't necessarily need to worry about it too much, but if you are concerned, there's full details available on the SUSI website. And then just a few issues particular to postgraduate funding from SUSI. So like I mentioned previously, the Free Fees Initiative does not apply for postgraduate students. And so if you were getting SUSI for your undergraduate, you might have been used to not having any kind of fee costs at all. But with this, with the postgraduate grant, they will offer you either a maximum of €4,500 or a fee grant of up to €6,270 if you qualify for the special rate of SUSI. So think back to what we were saying there a minute ago about the cost of the programs, where they could run up to about €10,000. There's obviously a bit of a shortfall there with what SUSI will offer you and what you might need to pay. So just keep that in mind when you're planning for paying for your program. Similar to the undergraduate grant, that sum is paid directly to the university, so you don't need to worry about that transaction at all. Maintenance grants are also available depending on your assessment outcome. The income values and the awards are mostly in line with the undergraduate awards. So if you were getting SUSI maintenance for your undergraduate, you should expect something similar for your postgraduate. And again, that's paid into the student's bank account directly. Now, a lot of students as well will think when they're going into a postgraduate that if they've turned 23, since they entered their undergraduate, that they might be classified as independent now and be assessed purely on their own income. And that is possible, but SUSI requires applicants to have at least a 3-year break from their undergraduate program before going into their postgraduate program if they want to be assessed as independent. They're very black and white about it. There's no real way around it, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind as well if that's part of your plans. For any students undertaking a research master's, the first €5,000 of any scholarship or bursary that you've been awarded will be disregarded by SUSI. That's across the board. But anything above that value may impact your income assessment. The ultimate income threshold for any award is €64,315. So that means if your household income is over that figure, then you wouldn't be eligible for any funding from SUSI for your postgrad. SUSI generally opens for new applications in April. They don't have an application date set just yet, so just keep an eye on their website around that time and you should see it come up. There's no particular rush. As I'm sure you know, there's plenty of time to submit an application for SUSI. You're usually given about 6 months. Just for anyone who was getting the special rate or wanted to know more about it, here's the criteria for it. You must first be eligible for the basic rate of the grant, your total reckonable household income, so that's the applicant, parents, guardians or spouses, that needs to be under €28,600, and on 31st of December of the year previous, so let's say the 31st of December just gone, the household income needs to include an eligible long-term social welfare payment to qualify for special rate. So that's something like job seekers allowance, disability allowance, one-parent family, something like that. In my role, I spend a lot of my time helping students with SUSI queries, and this is just kind of a broad overview of some of the ways I'm helping students. So let's say change of circumstances. If there's been a loss of income in the household and you want to have your means reassessed, I can help you with that. Or exceptional circumstances, if you ever find yourself needing to repeat a year due to some challenging personal circumstances like an illness or something like that, SUSI won't offer you funding by default, but there is a process you can go through to access funding, and I can help you navigate that process. I can help you with appealing grant decisions as well, and also I can act as a direct contact between the student and the SUSI help desk if there's ever any difficulty communicating. That QR code there is my booking link, so if anyone did have any questions or wanted any help with any of those issues or anything else related to SUSI, please feel free to take note of it, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Just a quick few words about back to education and Department of Social Protection payments. As I mentioned a while ago, there are a few Department of Social Protection payments you can get while undertaking a postgraduate. They would include disability allowance and one-parent family payment. But the primary payment that people access from the Department of Social Protection when undertaking education is the Back to Education payment. That is only available in limited circumstances for postgraduate study. So as you can see there, it's available for students enrolling in a higher diploma, so that's any higher diploma. But if you're looking at a master's, the only master's that's eligible is the professional master's in education. So anyone who is thinking of taking up that master's, you must meet certain criteria to qualify, and new claims must be recommended and approved by a Department of Social Protection case officer. It's not available to students who have already secured a postgraduate qualification unless they're undertaking a springboard course. And it's not possible to get back to education and SUSI maintenance. So that is a choice that you need to make when you're applying for SUSI. And then just to qualify for back to education, if you are pursuing the PME, you need to be over 24 years of old. You need to be in receipt of an eligible social welfare payment immediately prior to enrolling in the program, and you must be receiving that eligible payment for at least 12 months prior to entering the program. Student Assistance Fund. So some of you might have gotten this for your undergraduate. It is available for all postgraduates right up to PhD year 4. So keep that in mind. It's a national support. It's funded by the Irish government and the European Social Fund, but it is administered locally. So my office here in UCC administers it for UCC students. And for those of you who don't know what it is an additional source of financial support in addition to SUSI maintenance. Students can apply online from September, and eligible students may receive a single payment per academic year. It, like SUSI, is income assessed, so when you apply, we will be looking to see any income from salaries, wages, sources of income from rent, self-employment, farming, as well as evidence of any social welfare payments being paid into the house. The income reflects the whole household, like SUSI, so we would be looking for any relevant parents or guardians as well, and spouses. And just to note that you must provide all relevant documentation for the financial situation in line with our guidelines for the application to be fully completed. Postgraduate loans. So, like I mentioned, there will more than likely be some kind of shortfall between what SUSI might offer you and the cost of your postgraduate program. And with that in mind, it might be a good idea to look at loans to bridge that gap. So here's just a couple of the main examples that you could look at. AIB has a student loan with an interest rate of up to 8.45%, and you can borrow up to 50,000 from them. And you can choose to repay that back over 1 to 5 years. And if you want, you can opt to make interest-only payments while you're studying. But obviously that will increase the lifetime of the loan, and so will increase the cost of the credit. Bank of Ireland have a dedicated postgraduate loan, and it is offered at a lower interest rate of about 5.6%, so it's a cheaper overall option than the AIB loan. And again, they have flexible payment options that you can choose to repay weekly or monthly over a course of 5 years, and you can borrow up to 10,000 euros. And they do also have an option to defer all payments for the first 12 months if you wish. Just keep in mind, again, that will extend the lifetime of the loan and the cost of the credit you're accessing. Now, both of these lenders have pretty convenient loan calculators on their website, so if you wanted to log on there and just have a look at see how much you wanted to borrow and how much it might cost you overall over the period. Then just a quick word on scholarships. So there is a wide range of organisations, both public and private, that offer scholarships for research funding. So they include the likes of the Irish Research Council, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Irish Cancer Society, quite a lot of them. And then also funding might be available from private companies and supported by schemes to incentivise private investment. UCC has a website where we list all the scholarships and prizes that might be accessible to students. So that QR code there will take you there. They're categorized by discipline, so it's a pretty handy resource if it's something that you're interested in pursuing. So I definitely recommend that you have a look at that website if you are going into any kind of research postgraduate program. This is another good resource. This is just our full guide on funding your postgraduate study and kind of financially planning for it. So that QR code there will take you to the PDF document. and the document contains a lot of useful information about fees, payment plans, SUSI, Student Assistance Fund, as well as some information about budgeting, financial planning, and there's a few budgeting tools in there as well that you might find useful. So definitely worth your time having a look at that. That is it for the presentation, folks. These are my contact details again. That QR code there is my booking link again that I showed earlier. That's my email address. That website there is from my office, where you'll find a lot more information about some of the stuff I've talked about, in particular the Student Assistance Fund and some other access bursaries that we administer. So if you do have any questions, like I said, I'm more than happy to talk to any incoming students, or if you have anything comes up while you're studying, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you all so much.